What's up, everybody? Today I'm going to show you how to make the perfect prime rib. Now this one is actually choice, so it's not technically a prime rib, but a standing rib roast. Either way, it's going to be delicious all the same. Let's get started. As you can see, this one is already tied, because where I got it from, they actually cut the bones off and then just tied the meat back to the bone. And I would suggest doing that if the place that you get yours from didn't do that for you, or just ask your butcher to. That's going to make carving a lot easier in the end. Now, all we're going to do is take a couple tablespoons of vegetable oil and coat it. Just rub that everywhere, on the bottom too. We're going to season it pretty heavily with salt. You're looking at about 3/4 of a teaspoon per pound of meat. So that's a good bit of salt. Just pat it in while you're going. Every side. The bottom too. Make sure she is covered. Okay, that was our last side, so now we're going to go with pepper. Oh, there's a peppercorn. You can see, freshly ground my pepper. Finally, I'm back up to the top. Finish that. Now, you could stop there and call it a day. I like to add a little aromatics. Rosemary plant here. Cut off a couple sprigs. This is where these strings come in handy as well. Now you can take your rosemary, go right underneath these strings. Just put a couple sprigs in there. Add a little more flavor. Okay. Let's get one more over here. So now, you could do this the night before. That would probably be best. But you want to do this at least like 4 hours before you're going to cook her. And just season it up, get that salt on there, and then go back into the fridge. You'll draw out some of the water, let the skin or the fat dry off. You'll end up with a nice crispy roast in the end. So I'm going to go back into the fridge and let this sit for about 3 hours, and then pull it out, and it's going to sit at room temperature for another 2 hours before we start to cook it. Well, that's it. Look at that beauty. She is sat out and is about room temperature now, so I got my handy dandy probe here set to 118 degrees. I'm going to go right into the center with my probe. Now that is going to go into the oven cold. And then we're going to set our oven for 250. Just let it ride nice and slow. We are there. And isn't she beautiful? Now it's not done. We're going to let that rest for 45 minutes, and we're going to crank the oven up to 500 and give it a nice reverse sear. And in the meantime, we'll make some au jus. For the au jus, we have our beef drippings. There was about a tablespoon of that we got from there. So I'm going to supplement that with 3 tablespoons of butter. Just let that butter melt. You're looking for about 4 tablespoons of fat for this. Now we're going to go with 2 tablespoons of flour. And just whisk that. We're going to cook that for about a minute, 2 minutes, until it turns a little bit, until it gets a slight brownness to it. We'll make sure that flour is cooked, or it'll give it a funny taste. To that, we're going to add a 1/4 cup of red wine. That is a Cabernet Sauvignon. And we'll just let that cook for a minute. Lower that to about medium heat. Now we're going to go on with 2 cups of beef stock. Give it a good whisk. I'll turn my heat back up to medium high. And you want this to come to a boil and then bring it back down to a simmer. Whenever you make a roux, you always want to bring it to a boil or you're not going to get a full incorporation. Okay, we're also going to throw in a couple sprigs of rosemary and season it with a little salt and pepper. Okay, I'm just going to bring that to a boil, keep whisking it, and then we'll let that simmer for about 5 minutes. We'll be ready to go. Our roast is rested. It's time to go in a 500-degree oven for about 10 minutes. I think that's looking pretty darn good. Let's pull her out and see what we got. Oh, look at that. Our roast is done. Looks beautiful. Our jus is ready to go. And because we let that rest and did a reverse sear on it, it's ready to slice. So let's cut her up. Just cutting all these strings. Peel those away. Now, you remember, we already had that bone removed. So that pops off nicely. You can cut that. Chew on those guys. Oh yeah. Now let's see what we got. Yeah, I don't think you can get much more perfect than that. It's time to eat. Well, I feel like we've achieved perfection. It doesn't get much better than that. It's a long, slow process, but it's totally worth it, and it's super simple to do. So cheers. Don't forget, hit that like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.